Hey guys, welcome to my new playthrough, a deep playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 2. I actually already got into the game for maybe 15 hours or something. It was only, I only got not much further than chapter 1, but it took a lot of time like getting to grips with the mechanics. It's a really deep game. But only to notice that YouTube does not upload or process my footage to full 4K HDR settings. It gets stuck at like 720p or 1080p, sometimes even 360p, which is like like Nokia cell phone quality. And I did a lot of browsing the forums and checking and being patient. And yeah, there's really not much that I could think of to remediate it, except for trying to upload shorter pieces of footage, because the episodes that I already recorded were like 3 hours each. I mean, it's such a big game, you really forget about the time. And maybe that is about it. Like sometimes they were like 80 gigabytes big, and if the YouTube has to process it for multiple resolutions, like all the way from 360, 720, 1080, 1440, and 2160 p, then it will maybe become too big and it simply bugs out. So I am now putting my timer on, and I will. The aim is to only record episodes of maximum 1 hour. I really hope that this will solve the issue. This first episode will only be 45 minutes because I do have an appointment not too long from now. But afterwards they will be around 1 hour mark. It will not be the first chapter will not be super spontaneous as normally is the case. I mean, deep playthroughs are in my case like blind playthroughs. You will see the game as I encounter it the first time. But so that is a bit of a bummer, and it's also waste because I did. There were quite some cool sections in it, which were really is gone. But the advantage is that it's such a big game that those first 10 to 15 hours were also a lot of fiddling around with the controls. The controls were quite sluggish with the menus, reading upon the tutorials, which I still will lead you through the tutorials just to see what I see, but or know. But it all went pretty messy. So in that sense, I hope this renewed start of the deep playthrough will result in a more smoother flowing experience. More focused on the story than itself than on the game mechanics. So that's a bit long intro, but there's one thing I must also mention, and that is, of course, I could. You are probably wondering why doesn't he simply edit the 3 hour long episodes? Why doesn't he just edit it and cut it up in 3 episodes of 1 hour? That is because editing 4K HDR content takes ages. This is the first game I'm running now on my capturing with my new PC build. I just finished a PC with a 9900K Intel processor, a 280 Ti graphics card, and an Avermedia Live 4K gamer capture card. So that's really pretty top, as much as top of the range as you can get in consumer land. But even with that PC, encoding the 4K HDR streams, I think it's done through the HEVC or H.265 container. It takes ages. It takes like for half an hour of footage, maybe it will take 3 to 4 hours of editing time or encoding time. So if I have like 15 hours, that will take some 60 hours of encoding. And yeah, that's simply too long. It's simply more efficient to start over, and with the added benefit that yeah, I already know the game a bit about the mechanics, so hopefully it will be a bit more fluid. The drawback, because I will now be uploading, yeah, the raw captured footage immediately to YouTube instead of editing it, putting in an intro and an outro and stuff. The drawback of that is that it should um, stuff happen. Like maybe I need to go to the toilet, or maybe I encounter a boss battle and I'm failing for 50 times. I will not be able to edit that out. So it really will be the deep playthrough will be like almost a one-to-one reflection of how I encounter the game. Of course, I will try to prepare as much as possible, like that I will not be disturbed while recording. But I cannot guarantee that maybe some non-gaming stuff, non-gameplay stuff will creep up into the recordings. But that's actually also pretty fun. It's really like a one-to-one reflection of my gameplay experience. The deep playthroughs I'm doing, the difference with regular walkthroughs on YouTube, my niche, so to say, is doing it as broadly as possible. Like, I intend to get the fullest gameplay experience as possible, how I think the developers intended it to be played, and that amounts to, of course, going through the full primary campaign, but also doing all the side missions, trying to collect all the collectibles, reading up on the lore, reflecting on the graphics. Um, so really trying to take in all the elements of the game, all the mechanics, also the more obscure mechanics maybe, really try to get a full experience. And that's why I also deem it deep playthroughs. They will be substantially longer than the average playthrough on YouTube. And in this game, that will, yeah, I'm actually a bit, I wouldn't say afraid, but I'm really doubting how that will turn out, because this game in itself is already very long. It provides so much hours of gameplay. So and then going with a deep layer on top of it could really result in, like, I don't know, 200 hours or something. But I will see how that will turn out. Anyways, that's the setup, going through the game as thoroughly as possible. And I will conclude it in the end with my own personal review. At that time, I will have had so much hours under the belt with the game that I think I'm in a position to form a well-founded opinion on the game. And as a slight spoiler, I will already reveal that probably that opinion will be really positive, because Rockstar really did not waste these 7 years of development of Red Dead Redemption 2. They put in an incredible amount of detail in the game. So I do not expect this to be like a setback. It as much as insofar I saw the game, it is amazing. So really looking forward. Let's dive into it. Here we go. I'm not sure whether now it will load my previous progress, or whether it starts a new game, because I did already start a new game, but I'm not sure whether a checkpoint was saved in it yet. So I'm actually pretty curious about that. Yes, it loads my previous progress. I also forgot to mention deep playthroughs will also be as immersive as possible. So I will turn on off most irrelevant HUD elements. I will play it in first-person view, which in my view is more immersive. I already noticed, discovered the possibility of that like 3 hours into my initial playthrough, start of the playthrough. So now I will do that right from the very start. So yeah, that's also a major thing I forgot to mention is immersiveness. This is the menu, this is the map, the tutorial. I will run you through it. Progress. Yeah, that's like the compendium, how many animals you discovered and plants and stuff. We will get through that as well. Player, that displays the stats of our main character. The protagonist, Arthur, I forgot, Morgan, I guess, and his horse. And the story, that's where we will dive in now to start a new game. Social club we will disregard. This is for the online futures, but we will solely focus on the offline single player campaign. And the settings, I'm not sure whether it will remember my settings when starting a new game, but I will quickly run you through those as well. And then mainly all the HUD elements that I turned off. So now let's start a new game. Here we go. New game. Warning, are you sure you want to start a new game? All unsaved progress will be lost. Yes. I actually already, after that initial 15-hour start, I like an hour ago, I already restarted it. So I did that whole intro already again. But then I was curious how many hours I already had under my belt. So I went back to the PlayStation menu to see how many hours I already played. And then the capture card, it reverted back from HDR to standard dynamic range. And I couldn't get it to HDR back again. So then I had to again start over. So I'm really messing up about a lot currently. This is actually my third time I did this whole intro talk. Alright, by 1899 the age of outlaws and gunslingers was at an end. America was becoming a land of laws. Laws, boring. Even the West had mostly been tamed. A few gangs still roamed, but they were being hunted down and destroyed. Underlined, destroyed. I put my timer, so at the in 33 minutes there will be like a little alarm clock that I do not forget that I have to cut it off in order for hopefully YouTube to accept it as true 4K HDR. God damn it! In the background something was updating. Hopefully this didn't mess about with my HDR setting. Let's check it out. Is it still HDR? Shit. I'm not sure whether it's now HDR actually. I do think it is.
Abigail says he's dying, Dutch. We'll have to stop someplace.
Let's just continue.
Arthur's out looking. I sent him up ahead.
If we don't stop soon, we'll all be dying. This weather, it's May. I'm just hoping the law got as lost as we did.
There. Arthur! Any luck?
I found a place where we can get some shelter. Let Davy rest while he... You know. An old mining town. Abandoned. It ain't far. Come on. Come on! Yeah!
Yeah! Just practicing my cowboy. Woohoo! Yeehaw! Scream. You have to. It's a role-playing game. You have to get into character. Yeehaw! Chapter 1, Coulter. It's a beautiful chapter. They really outdid themselves with the snow effects. Like walking in the snow, you really leave footprints that are pretty realistic.
Bring him in here!
Miss Gaskell, get that fire lit, quick. Miss Jones, bring in whatever blankets we have. Mr. Pearson, see what we've got in terms of food.
Davy's dead.
There was nothing more you could have done.
What are we gonna do? We need supplies.
Well, first of all, you're gonna stay here, and you were gonna get yourself warm. Now, I sent John and Micah scouting out ahead. Arthur and I, we're gonna ride out, see if we can find one of them. And this, just for a short bit. And I don't see what other choice we have. Listen. Listen to me, all of you, for a moment.
Oh,
Now, we've had, well, a bad couple of days. I loved Davy, Jenny, Sean, Mac. They may be okay. We don't know. But we lost some folks. Now, if I could throw myself in the ground, in their stead, I'd do it, gladly. But we're gonna ride out, and we're gonna find some food. Everybody, we're safe now. There ain't nobody following us through a storm like this one. And by the time they get here, well, we're gonna be long gone. We've been through worse than this before. Mr. Pearson, Miss Grimshaw, I need you to turn this place into a camp. We may be here for a few days. Now, all of you, get yourselves warm. Stay strong. Stay
With
me.
I remembered that.
We ain't done yet. Come on, Arthur.
All right. We've got some work to do.
We ain't run into them yet, so they both must have headed down the hill.
Sure. Hey, I ain't had time to ask. What really went down back there on that boat?
We missed you. That's what happened. Come on.
I will read through the
Hey, you
journal
horses? Oh, yeah.
to
Hey,
get you.
Mr. Smith, get yourself indoors. You need to rest that hand. I'll live. Get indoors, son.
With the radar turned off, you can press
need
D-pad
your
down
phone.
to briefly display it again.
Okay.
I will read the journal to get you up on the speed of the story.
Let's head out.
This is what I meant with those
Ain't
footsteps.
sure what we're gonna find out
amazing.
here, Dutch.
Are you sure this is the right way?
Alright, this first episode I do have to
We'll do our best to stick to the trail.
do some.
Goddamn weather!
Been 2 days or more like this now. It has to blow over soon. Let's go.
I do have to do some preparatory things, so let's do that right now before we head off. I will show you the map. This is the map. Of course, it's still pretty much blinded out. We are in Coulter. You see, what's that little X? That's a corpse. Ah, okay. This is Dutch. That's the gang leader. This is a really small old mining town. The map we will be not have the radar in game, but we can activate it by pressing D-pad down. That's over here. To the left bottom left you will see the map. The bar in the bottom is the honor system. If you do positive things, you will be more honorable. If you shoot everybody, you will become dishonorable, and people will react to you accordingly. Top right is our purse, how much money we have.
What are you waiting for?
So that is about the map. Then the help section, that's a really big tutorial that I will read you all through it, but not now. We will do it a bit later. It is a lot. This is general. Story chapter, strangers, health, stamina, and dead eye course. Health, stamina, and dead eye, that are your main, how do you call it? Man, I always... Yeah, your core attributes. Health is of course your health bar. Stamina is how far you can sprint. And dead eye is a slow motion capability when shooting. Like Max Payne style. Then you have the crafting section. You can craft, I think, clothes, ammunition, fire arrows, etc. Then you have, I don't know if I already, yeah, strangers I already noticed. That are like little side missions. See the world, get around, saving. You can also manually save, which I will do regularly because the autosaves are pretty sparingly. And once, for instance, your horse gets killed and you don't want it, then at least we are able to reload it. You have to sleep to recharge your core attributes, health, stamina, and dead eye. You have your satchel, which you can upgrade to carry more provisions. There are challenges in game, like hunting, game, exploring, doing... gambler, doing games like poker, etc. You have outfits. You have to wear the correct outfit for the climate. So in winter time you have to wear thicker stuff than in sun-baked areas. So that will also affect your health and stamina recharge rate. I guess, yes. Being too hot or too cold for long will cause your health core to drain faster. And this is the crafting. So this is the general menu. Then we have a combat menu. I'm already still walking you through it anyways quickly now. So these are the weapon controls. Then you have the revolvers, pistols, repeaters, rifles, shotguns, bow and arrow, and thrown weapons like Molotov cocktails. Then we have the middle column. It's about... I will do the middle and the right column all at once. So we have melee weapons. You also have gunsmith to upgrade your weapons. You have the lasso, so you can bind persons or animals. You have dead eye, that is the slow-mo capability. Ammunition, you can craft special ammunitions. You have the accessories, which is reinforced versions of weapon accessories that provide further upgrades, can be purchased from the Trapper store. So that is some kind of upgrades. You can do stealth. If you crouch, you are more silent. The condition of the weapon, you have to maintain them. If they get dirty and stuff, the damage output will be decreased. There is a cover system in game by pressing R1. Familiarity, if you use certain weapons more often, you become familiar with them and the damage output will increase. One sec, I had a call, but I will skip that for now. Weapons experts. Using certain weapons will increase your rank in the weapons expert challenge, allowing you to unlock special reinforced combat accessories that can be purchased. So that is one of those challenges. So that is also, I think, increased by simply usage of certain weapons. And that's the same with familiarity. It's the same leveling up system as with Skyrim, that you do not need to, you can in this game also upgrade, I think, individual perks. I'm not really sure, but the main upgrade system is simply by usage, which is a very natural flowing way of implementing such a system in my book. It's if you run a lot, your stamina will increase. If you take a lot, if you brawl a lot, your damage impact, your damage resistance will increase. So yeah, that's a good thing in my book. The compendium is like the encyclopedia of all the plans and the weapons and the gangs. It all has a little description. There's a lot of work done in the past during development by Rockstar as regards to making a fully fledged out menu system with the compendium. It is incredibly in-depth, a lot of text, so I do have to practice my reading. Fighting with companions. When taking on enemy gangs or taking on enemy gangs or the law, it can be invaluable to have your fellow gang members by your side. You can use weapons while on horseback, but bear in mind that some horses will become agitated if they feel threatened or make loud noises. Use silent weapons like the bow to avoid spooking your horse. Its courage will increase as you unlock horse bonding levels. Okay, this is simply that fighting with more guys is more effective than fighting alone, which is a pretty open door. Then we have the crime system. It is crime and punishment. You can become wanted if by the law or by bounty hunters if you are witnessed performing crimes. There are 6 gangs in the game. I think each state or region has a gang. There are fences where you can sell stolen stuff. You can use a disguise to minimize the chance of getting witnessed and becoming wanted. You can rob trains or banks or I guess also persons. Dealing with witnesses, you can, I think, threaten them, or of course you can take them out entirely. So to avoid becoming wanted. Rustling. Cattle and horses can be rustled from some ranches and branch farms. Look out for fellow gang members who may invite you to join rustling jobs. I'm not sure what rustling means, but I guess it means just stealing cattle and horses. Loan sharking is an important resource of ready money for Dutch's gang, and encouraging reluctant debtors to pay up is Arthur's specialty. So we are a heavy, just compelling. No, I'm searching for the words. Not threatening, but pushing people to pay up. And bounty hunting. There are also other outlaws in the game which we can hunt ourselves. So that is about the crime. Then we have the horse entry. Horse breaking, you can train or break wild horses. Bonding, if you take good care of your horse, its attributes will go up. So you can clean the horse, you can feed it, etc. Well, I also do the other columns. Horse care, that is also good for its attributes. If the horse gets dirty, its stamina will deplete quicker and stuff. Or it will withstand less damage. Stables. At the stable you can buy and sell horses. You can buy care items and stuff. I think you can also name your horse. I didn't try that yet, but that would be cool. Feeding is also good for the stamina or for the bonding. I'm now reading it. Then we have saddling horses. You can only really own a horse once you put a saddle onto it. And when bonding with horses, that's to the lower left, you can also, at bonding level 2, 3 and 4, you also unlock certain abilities. At level 2 you can do a rear, that's like a jump up with its front legs. Level 3 you can do like skid turns, which really is like almost doing like burnouts in your hot rod car. At level 4 you can do a piaffe, that's like those ballet moves by horses. That's dressure, or I'm not really sure what the English word is. Hitching, you should hitch your horse to a post so that they cannot be stolen, and it's also good for bonding. You can whistle for the horse to come to you, and the higher your bonding level, the further the range of the whistle. How far it will be effective. So that is about the horse entry. Then we have the last one, and that is activities. There are quite some games or activities to be done, not only games like here are some games, but also activities like hunting. You have special meat types, low quality to high quality. You can track games with that's called Eagle Eye. That's going with your scent. Also, when hunting, you should hunt facing the wind direction. Otherwise, your own smell, if the wind is in the blowing your own smell in the direction of the prey, it will get started way more easily and get out of there. So wind direction is a factor. You can also, that's, I'm reading that to the lower left, you can also use cover scents to mask your own scent. That's about hunting. Then you can also do fishing, which is has a cool, I didn't fish yet, but it has a really cool, I think, reel in mechanic. Like you really have to fight the fish and getting it to reel it in. You can use baits. There are some tips that's for that reeling in, like pumping the fishing rod to make faster progress hauling in a hooked fish. You can use lures that are mechanical baits, which is better for bigger fish. And that's about it for the fish. Then we have poker. This is just like a tutorial of the poker, which for me was really handy. I never really pokered in real life, but this really is a good, concise explanation of how it works. You can, I will just briefly shout out some terms. Folding, you can go all in. You have the rankings, like what are the best cards. You can auto bet. That's the game. You already prepare your cards, and once it's your turn, the game automatically executes your prepared play. Then you have the rounds, of course. The rules are explained. There's a showdown. That's after the final round. The showdown takes place where the players reveal their cards. You can check. If no bet has been made, a player can choose to check or bet. A check is equivalent to betting 0 and passes the action to the next person. Okay, and betting is, of course, placing your bet. You can call, that is going with somebody else's bet, or you can raise somebody else's bet, like that's raising the amount of money that is being betted upon. Steal the pot if all players folded and there's only one player left. He, I think, do not need to reveal his cards. He simply wins all the chips. And side pots is if a player has gone all in, but he cannot match the highest bet, then for the difference between the highest bet and the all in amount, a side pot will be created, because the player going all in can only bet up until the amount that his all-in bet is. So any bet amounts above that will go to a second pot that is then distributed to the players that did match that higher bet. So that are the poker rules. The order of cards is high cards, that's nothing. You have 1 pair, 2 pair, 3 of a kind. Then you have a straight. Then you have a flush, then you have a full house, 4 of a kind, straight flush and a royal flush. And I always need to cheat a bit or peek to what it was again, because I still don't have that really well hammered into my head what each rank is. Anyways, that is poker. Then we go to blackjack. That's a simpler game. The overview, the card values. Each card is a 10. The ace is 1 or 11. You can split cards if you have the 2 cards with the same value initially. Of course, you bet. There is an insurance. If I think the dealer's card is an ace, you can hit taking another card. You can stand down. That is just foregoing taking another card. Even money is if you have a blackjack, but when insurance betting starts and you bet the maximum insurance, then either you will lose but you get your money back through insurance, or you will win and you will get the same amount you bet, because the insurance amount, insurance premium will be subtracted from it. And you can double down. That is if you have 2 cards in your hand. As you only have 2 cards in your hand, as you This doubles the value of your current bet and gives you one and only one additional card. Okay, so that if you only have still 2 cards, you can raise the stakes. These are the blackjack rules. Then we have dominoes, and dominoes is you have certain types of games. You have a draw game, a block game, and all 3 games. Spinners are double tiles. There's a tip: as a round of domino goes on, a canny player will be able to guess their opponent's hands by surveying the tiles already played and noting when other players have to draw or pass. This allows for strategic moves to block other players. Alright, back to the types of games. So we had draw, all 3s, and all 5s. That are all the games. So you have all 5s, all 3s, draw, and block. That's about dominoes. We will further dive in the rules once we hit the game. Then 5-finger fillet is simply meshing a knife between your fingers on a wooden table as quickly as possible. You have certain types of 5-finger fillet. You have the classic one. You have the guts. That is complete the most laps in a 20-second time limit. And you have a burnout. That is to complete the most laps in 30 seconds with no mistakes. Practice, you can also practice prior to starting. You have 3 practice attempts. So that are all the activities, and that sums up the whole tutorial. So we went into a fast train pace through it. I do think that I will read. It's a deep playthrough. It's I wouldn't say a fully completionist playthrough, but I do think it will be good if at one point in time during the playthrough, probably somewhere still in the beginning, I will read fully through this to just really get into all the nitty-gritty of the mechanics. That is the help menu. Then we have the progress menu. I do have to keep time in mind because I cannot, we only have 10 minutes left, so I have to be quick. Progress is the story progress. We are at 0%. We have the compendium, that is a log of all the animals you discovered, the equipment that you discovered, the fish you discovered, the gangs that you discovered, the plants you discovered, and the horses and weapons and cigarettes cards that you discovered. So we have 0, 2 weapons, 0 horses, 0 plants, 0 gangs, 0 fish, 1 equipment, and 0 animals discovered. You can inspect animals or plants or objects in game, and then you discover them, and there will be an entry added to the compendium. Then there are challenges. It's still locked, but that's like hunt a certain type of deer or play win a couple of rounds of poker and stuff, and that will increase, that will reward you, I guess, with rewards, like maybe some increase in the core abilities or maybe some items. And total completion, we are of course still at fully 0%. Mission and events, then you have collectibles, which I will try to get them all. Then you have the compendium entries, which are a lot of them, so we have to research the environment. And player developments, it's like reaching maximum health, bonding, etc. And then miscellaneous, you can there are legendary animals, you have shacks, you have table games, you can bath, there are theater shows, there are recipes, and you can there are also some big robberies. That is about the progression, and that is concludes the progress tab. We have the player tab, that is Arthur. That is his weight and stuff. We will go back into it later on. If you're overweight, that affects your stamina core, and if you know, that decreases stamina recharge, and if you're underweight, that decreases health impact. And we also have some settings on our horse, and this menu is still locked. Furthermore, we have the story section where you can save your game manually, you can load a game, you can do a new game, or you can exit the game. Then we have the social club. We will forgo about that because this is all about the single player campaign, and we have the settings screen, and it did remember the settings that I set during the initial playthrough that I now cancelled out because it is not being displayed at 4K in YouTube. Because I hope the reason is because the episodes were too long. The controls, I will run you through it probably in the next episode, because now I only have 9 minutes left. But quickly, vibration is on, targeting is free aim. I will not do target assist. Aim assist is off. Third person, I will not be using this. I will only play in first person. The control scheme is standard FPS. That is only switches out two buttons. I think the sprint button and the crouch button will be switched. It will be more to a first person control scheme. Look sensitivity, aim sensitivity and acceleration. Maybe I will tweak a bit. I will keep it still at default, but maybe I will up it a bit, because, and also reduce the dead zone, because the current mechanics, they are pretty sluggish, so to say. Then we have running mode. I don't really know what this one is all about, because with the standard FPS control scheme, running, I think it is already, you do not need to hold it. It's simply pressing down on the left thumbstick. So it is already a toggle, but yeah, maybe I'm overlooking something. And then tap assist, I will keep it off. That sometimes you have like these quick time events that you have to tap. I will keep that default. That's about the controls. Then the display, HDR is on, kill effects is on, HUD, preset, I put everything off. I think current games, they are so unimmersive as regards to the modern HUDs. You have like counters, flashy icons, tracking entries. It's one totally overcluttered mess often in my book. And my playthroughs really aim to be as most a cinematic experience and immersive experience as possible. So I put it all off. The only entries that I kept on is the help tips, which are of course fundamental to getting the most out of all the mechanics. Notifications, I keep it off. The transaction feed I keep on, because that if you loot bodies, it will actually display what you actually looted, and that is you really do need to know that. Otherwise, it will be totally you will have no clue what you are collecting. The transaction feed lets you know about items you have acquired as you progress. It is also used to show when items are lost. And maybe those notifications I should also put on. Notification will appear as required during gameplay. Notification may still be accessed in the log if this is turned off, but will not display in the HUD. I will simply use the log for that. That is way more immersive. They are also there. Weapon reticle, it's I will not use it. I will use first person mode and also really first person perspective, so that you do not have a crosshair, but you really have iron sights perspective. Reticle dot size is small, radar is off, and the GPS route is also off. We are in the Wild West, we do not have GPS. Audio is everything default, sound, score, dialogue balance, output, surround, front and back, it's all balanced, or at default, it's all the same. Camera follow level is minimal, so you have a bit more time to look around before it auto centers in the default position. Straight ahead, you have dynamic kill cams, which are really cool. It's like slow motion, sometimes a kill cam, just like in Skyrim, like those kill moves. First person auto level camera, I put it off. I'm not really sure actually what it did. Adjust the leveling of the first person camera automatically. Field of view, I bumped it up a little bit. I will bump it up a little bit more actually. It's like only a really minor difference, but the bigger field of view, the more it will be on screen all at once. Although it could become a bit the game will become a bit smaller, so to say. It will be a bit further away. So actually I will keep it to where it was. Then we have ragdolling is on. That's probably when you get hit that you do have those impact effects, seeing or also when playing from first person perspective. Head bobbing, I will keep it on. I like it for immersion's sake. Aim auto center, that's only when mounting or on a vehicle. I kept it at default. I haven't really aimed a lot when mounted or when in a vehicle. And vehicle is of course not a car, although the Model T Ford was created not long after the time this game takes place. But vehicles are not autocars, but they are wagons or trains and stuff like that, I guess. Or yeah, like horse wagons, carriages. Then first-person cover is on, first-person horse riding is on, and first-person vehicle. So it will everything will become in first-person perspective for immersion's sake. I do have to commend Rockstar a lot on their really enabling the players to really tweak this to their own desire. Then we still have the general options, which is autosave is on. Temperature, I will keep it to Celsius. I am in Europe, in Amsterdam, so this is my preferred method. Weight, I also not have 2 pounds but 2 kilograms. The same reason, I'm in Amsterdam. And clock, I will keep it at 24 hours. So that is a really quick and dirty rundown through the whole menu. I will, as the game progresses, of course, show you the entries in the compendium, and there's also a journal in game that we will read to get a grip on the story. There are also books in game that also are sometimes really funny and give a good grip. And the 1 second, I will check my timer. We have less than 1 minute left. Holy shit! So I will have to cut it out and continue in the next episode. I will read more through the compendium as the game progresses, as we discover stuff, and also I will at a later moment read through all the tutorial sections just for completionist's sake to get a grip on all the mechanics. So that was like the preparatory rundown before starting this very long playthrough. It was of course a bit boring, but yeah, it had to be done. In the next episode, in episode 2, we will get into the gameplay actually. And we will, with Dutch, I will show you the log. Hold X to match speed. This is the log. It says, half frozen, outlaws from the west, close to death and on the run. The gang finds shelter in an old abandoned mining town. Dutch, Arthur and Mika head out to look for supplies. We are going to look out for supplies in the next part, straight from the start. I hope you still enjoyed it somewhat, although it was a lot of reading. I did enjoy it, although it was already my second time reading through it. Hope to see you in the next video. If you like it, please do leave a like. If you liked it a lot, a subscribe would be, of course, incredible. I still have to build an audience. The only viewer is mainly myself, so that is a bit too minimal. I hope to see you in the next video, and for the meantime, as I am accustomed to say, never forget, keep on gaming. See you later.